undefeated Air Force Ones, man. They sat around for a long time, but I'm telling you, man, it's a nice shoe. All right, so we're not gonna do nothing too crazy today. We're just gonna get in here, pop around, do a couple like long videos. We're gonna do some steals, but before we get into all that, man, let's talk about the build quality on this thing, because it is one of the things that's absolutely nuts when you go talk about build quality. I know. Everybody been talking about it look like iPhone, but I don't know about all that. Okay, I do. I just don't want to give them that credit. But if you take a look at this thing, man, you'll see 100% that it's still in that language from Apple and Samsung. But what I do think is Google actually pulled it off a lot better than Samsung. I've had the S24 Plus, iPhone 15 Pro. Yeah, I know. I think this execution of this one is actually pulled off great. Now, minus the snafu I had with the first one I had, because I ordered the Obsidian. Cool, right? Nope, it wasn't, because when I got it, it didn't work. Speakers was trash. I loved it though, but when I did the replacement, after all of that shit, came out to be what it was. They gave me options to actually get another one, and I decided to get the porcelain. Big win. So let's take a look at this thing, man. So now that we got a few minutes, man, we're gonna take a break before we get out. I think I'm gonna get rained on today. That's what I think. But in talking about the build quality again on this Pixel, we already went over that in the unboxing, but it's A1. Like, there's nothing to complain about this build quality. I think Google really knocked it out the park on this one. And with me having the porcelain version now, it really shines. Like, it really shines a lot more than I thought it would. Then over the Obsidian, which I really like that matte look on the back of that. But that matte look with the shiny rails, it didn't really go too well, but whatever. They offered me to change the device color, so I opted into getting the Obsidian, right? So let's talk about the camera, since that's what we're here for, right? The back housing is essentially the same thing as the Pixel 8 Pro from last year, right? We got a 50 megapixel main sensor. We have a 48 megapixel ultra wide and a 48 megapixel telephoto lens for this configuration, right? But that, again, that's not really what we're here for, right? Most people take pictures of themselves. And when we do that, we talk about selfies, right? This thing has a 42 megapixel shooter on the front, which means you can get a wider angle in your pictures. You can get more people in your selfies or groupies or whichever one you want to call it. So you can actually do that and they come out crystal clear. Now, where we do have some issues at is when we take the portrait mode. You do have a little, it's not as clean as it should be when you're doing not the telephoto, but when you're doing the portrait photos. So be on the lookout for that, but I'm sure that's a software issue. It's computational photography. I'm sure Google will fix that, because you know, the couple pixels ago, that was A1, and then Samsung came and then they did it better, and Apple came and did it even better. So I'm sure that's one of those things that Google could fix via software. I mean, it is a software-based company that sells ads, you know, and they've been pretty good about changing and updating features or correcting things that were broken due to software. So I'm sure they'll be able to fix that when we get that. So I'm gonna quit yapping, man. I'm gonna go do some more videos, and then we're gonna get into the next topic. Not for nothing, but I'm strictly shooting this, except the one scene that I shot with the Pocket 3. I'm shooting it strictly from the Pixel So if the audio quality sounds bad, then you already know the microphones are trash. So we'll see what it sounds like. Let me know what it sounds like in the comment section. But I've been here for almost an hour now. I started off at 100% and currently I am at 90%, and I've been shooting 1080p videos, taking stills. I just switched over to 4K. So as far as the battery life so far, man, yeah, it's holding its own, but we'll see what it sounds like and what it look like in post. So I don't know, bruh. Keep your fingers crossed. I got mine crossed, but I got faith. I do have faith in Google, 100%. So yeah, we're gonna see. So let's address the elephant in the room when we talk about the processor on this device. So we all know it's rocking the Tensor G4 chip, right? And about the benchmarks, who really cares about benchmarks? Who really cares about any of that stuff, right? Well, some of y'all do, but you don't even need anything that requires as much horsepower as we keep asking for in these devices. Is it a big improvement over last year? No, but it is a iterative step to get us to the fastest things that we can do on these devices. Most of the time, we're just playing video games on these things. There's nothing I can think of that will require as much as power as people are wanting out of these devices. So is it a letdown that they went with the Tensor G4 instead of waiting to drop this bombshell of a device with the new chips they're gonna get from TSMC? No, but I can tell you this, I've experienced no stutters, no hiccups, no nothing. And again, I've been recording since I've been at the park for probably about an hour and a half now. And yeah, the device gets a little warm, but it's still not as hot as it was when I was filming with the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6. When was that, last week? That device got hot. Now this one, I don't have a case on it. I took the case off just to keep things equal, and I can tell you right now, this device is not hot. And I think Google did a really good job of slapping that copper plate in the back to dissipate some of the heat, and they have a vapor chamber on here that gets that stuff on out of here. So again, I'm not complaining about the process, and we got to upgrade in the RAM department too. So what are we really expecting to do with these devices? I don't know, but they are powerful enough for us to satisfy every need that we require on this device. Now, when Apple drops their new iPhone 16, people are going to be in an uproar too, talking about the benchmarks and the specs. Now, if they're not putting an M1 chip in that device, who cares? It's just the processor. We're talking about the whole dynamic of this device. The main thing is the photo, the video, the audio, and sprinkling in some of those AI features, which I kind of ragged on them last week, but as far as Google goes, it's actually pretty decent. So you take that for what it's. Google did promise us 7 years of Android updates and security updates, right? They promised us 7 years, but since they're so early to the party this year, because we don't normally get Pixels till like October, yeah, they decided they want to just ship this with Android 14. Am I mad about it? No, but I'm wondering how they're gonna calculate this, because they said 7 years, but you really think about it, they probably gonna try to short us out of one. But for me, who keeping that phone this long? Nope, not me, and not most of the people in the tech community. We don't keep phones that long. We're not normal, and I know it's an addiction, but I digress. But so this thing does ship with Android 14, but it does have all the new Gemini features, all the AI functions that's, you know, new this year. We got those. So am I twerked about it? Not at all. Will we be the first to get Android 15? Absolutely, and I can't wait. But again, the last 3 versions of Android have been iterative to say the least, but they also have made this a solid operating system. No more of the days where Apple people could talk about how bad and how janky and slow the Android phones are, because we way past that now. I think we got y'all, but I'm just saying, I have both, but whatever. My loyalty is to Android and Google Pixels, because I mean, I had the Nexus devices, so you already know what team I'm on. But am I twerked about that software? No, because I don't miss it. Every phone that you bought recently, it has 14 on it, so it's familiar. Stop being so spoiled and wanting to be the first to get something. I'm like that too, but I'm just talking about software at this point. But yeah, I would just venture to say, like, just chill out, man. We good. We're gonna get Android 15 when we get it, and we're gonna complain about it just like we do every other thing. We complain about it, and then we just, yeah, on to the next one, right? But it's a solid operating system. Again, no stutters, no lag, no jutters, no none of that. No overheating to say. And it's cloudy out here, but it's a typical Florida day. It's muggy, sticky. You can see it on my face, but it is what it is though. But I do love the way Google protects the skin tones too. So this is my natural skin tone, folks. So yeah, I'm not twerked about the Android 14. I mean, they made a few refinements. Maybe I'll hop on the public beta. I don't know for 15, but right now I'm cool with 14. And if they give us 15 and to count that towards the 7 upgrades, then so be it, because ain't nobody in their right mind keeping the phone 7 years anyway. So yeah. Yo, we got a squirrel just sitting on the table, bro. He just chilling. And like, I'm just minding my business. How about you? Oh, there he goes. All right, we're gonna see just how well this telephoto lens works on video. I'm not using a gimbal, I'm not using anything. I'm just zooming in with my fingers to see just how close we could get. Let's see what the quality looks like. We're about to run into that point where it's not as steady now because I'm not on a gimbal. All right, now we at 20 times. And that's our max, 20 times. Pull this back out. There we go. Just for perspective, that's how far away I am. So the one thing about this phone that was very, very questionable for me was how well the display would react outside. I can tell you right now, yeah, with those nits, there's 3,000 nits of peak brightness in this thing, and you can definitely tell that it has 3,000 nits of peak brightness on this device. I did have one concern about it though. So initially out the box, I was wondering why the contrast wasn't as good as I thought it should be. So side by side next to the Galaxy Z Flip 6, which is what I'm filming on right now, it looked a little off. Like the shade was a little darker than what I would hope. It was a little warm, so I searched the settings to see if I could find a way to like make it cool. No, I didn't really find anything, but what I did do is went into the developer options, and everybody who has an Android should know how to do that at this point. I went into the developer options, and then I went down to contrast. So it was set to standard, so I set it to medium, and it made the letters come through a lot more clear than they were before. Now, don't get me wrong, the display is super bright, but for the Samsung, let's say I put it at half, at 50%, it still was brighter than this one on, let's say, about 60%. But once you cross that 60% threshold, that's when it actually kicks up. Now, side by side, next to the Flip 6 and this one at 100%, this one knocks it out of the park because the Flip has about 2,300, 2,400 nits of peak brightness. So that was one of the things that I did note. But am I upset with the display? Absolutely not. It's what Google calls it, the Super Actual display. It's an OLED display, and yeah, you can tell that the blacks are inky black. And so far, let's see, what am I at for battery life right now? I've been shooting for almost 2 hours now, and the battery is at 83%. So, I mean, I'm shooting at 4K now. So before I wasn't really shooting at 4K. So now we got that going. I think it's holding up fairly well, man. So we're gonna continue to put it through its paces. So this is definitely one of the underrated features on this phone that I always miss when I get rid of a Pixel. Some music playing in the background, bro. It's so clutch. Ah, yes, it's one of those features that you just can't go without. There is some stutters going on in this camera, but I'm gonna check it out in post to see if it actually does that, because I'm not moving the device, I'm just walking, but I can see the stutters when the camera is trying to keep the frame going in here. Now, will this be in the runnings for phone of the year? I don't know. We got the OnePlus 12. We got some Oppo phones over there. We got the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. We got the new iPhone that's probably gonna drop, but I'm pretty sure we gotta put the 15 in there because Apple's gonna drop the 16 in probably October or late September, October. And I don't know if that's gonna be really, I don't know. We'll see when it drops, but it's definitely going to be an Apple competitor and for phone of the year. I'm very interested to see what they're actually going to do, but this phone will definitely be in the conversations for phone of the year. The only thing that really sticks out, like for real, is the price. Now, for this version, which is the porcelain 512, yeah, I could have went down to the 256, but I decided not to. It's fine, but the price is what I really don't understand what Google is trying to do. Are they really just trying to make Apple raise their prices even more? Because what I think is going to happen is Apple is going to drop the iPhone 16 Pro and the Pro Max, and it's going to be as expensive as this one. But that's just me speculating. But Apple started this trend where they started charging exuberant amounts for these devices, and everybody else jumped on the bandwagon. Now, what Google did this year is, I don't think it really justifies the price. The build quality is amazing. The battery life so far is amazing. And there's not really anything that I don't like about the device. Like, I can't even really nitpick on things that I don't like about this device. But it's one of those things where it is what it is, right? So I don't know. Is it worth the price? It's worth whatever you want to pay for it, and at this price point, I paid for it, so I guess it's worth it. Again, no issues with the device whatsoever, but time will tell. I only had a device for a week since it dropped, so we'll see. All right, so we've talked about everything from the specs, and we have enough footage for you guys to make a nice conclusion on how well this camera actually performed. Again, I'm outside. It's not sunny today, but it's still Florida, so it's hot, it's muggy, and the whole entire time this device has not gotten hot at all, and I don't have a case on it. So again, I think Google did a very, very good job of dissipating the heat. I haven't seen any like hiccups with the OS, the camera system, none of that. So I mean, we touched on the display, we touched on Android 14 being on this device. We touched on the specs. Ain't nothing else left for us to do here, man. We're proving our point. But now, we're going to take it back to the lab, and I'm going to give you guys my final verdict on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Okay, now that we've had a chance to review all the footage from the other day at Epcot, And I think I've come to a conclusion on the Pixel. And wait, but before I get into that, let's just address the AI functions of this device. Now, I only find use for a few of the things that Google have thrown in this year. Now, the add me function, where you can take a picture with your group and the person that's taking the picture can go in and get in the photo, it is very neat. But will you actually use it? I don't know. It takes a few seconds for you to ask somebody, hey, you want to take this picture for us? We do it all the time. And when you're at places like Disney or anywhere on vacation where people are just mad excited that they're on vacation, and yeah, they'll take a picture for you because they're going to ask you to do the same thing for them. Now, if you're just one of those people that just don't like talking to people, then yes, add me is going to be the bee's knees for you. Right, 100%. It's just gonna do that for you, right? But I don't think that's one of those features that I'm gonna actually use a lot. Now, I tested it out. It looks fine, but if you go pixel peeping, then you're actually gonna see where it was stitched together. You may see some abnormalities in the photo. It's fine. It's AI, all right? It is what it is. Now, when it comes to Gemini, that's a whole different animal. I'm no fan of ChatGPT. I'm not. I used it maybe twice. I've always been a Google guy, and when I seen that Gemini was coming out, or I can't even remember what the name of it was before until when they changed the name to Gemini. Yeah, blame it on this, right? But when Gemini came along, I actually gravitated more to Gemini. So between Gemini and Copilot Plus, or Copilot, whatever one you want to call it, those are my two go-tos. But with the addition of Gemini Nano and those features that they have baked in there with Gemini Advanced, I'm quite impressed. Now, some people may frown at AI, but with the conversational things that you have on this device with Gemini is absolutely bananas. Now, that is a feature I can get behind. The screenshots, I'm all right on that. We already had a place in Google Photos where they stored your screenshots, albeit it didn't have a lot of the contextual information that it has now baked into Gemini, I guess, because it's an Android 14. We already talked about that, but I didn't really get into that. So as far as AI functions, they're like hit or miss. I like Gemini. That's about it. Because the photo editor or studio, I'm good on that. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun. But is it something that I'm gonna use repeatedly? No, I am not. Unless they started saying where you can add people, and I guess that's where it gets into the funny business when you go to adding people in photos. Again, what really is a photo these days? It's impressive, don't get me wrong. It's just not one of those things where I'm just like, yes, we got it. No, I'm good. Now, when it comes to Magic Eraser and all of those other things, or removing people out of the background, those are simple functions of AI, and I can get behind those. But sometimes they look like trash too. It's just Photoshop on steroids, really. And Adobe does have a creative suite that does the same thing. So we have it in the palm of our hand, and it's all done local. So the only part that's not done local is the conversational stuff with Gemini, because it has to pull that information from somewhere. So as far as AI functions, I felt like it wasn't really a need to get in the weeds of those things because they are a niche thing. A lot of people aren't even gonna touch it. A lot of people aren't even gonna get this phone because that's all we talk about these days is AI, AI, AI. And They think that Skynet is on the way. Maybe it is, but yeah, you gotta die from something, right? But I digress. So, my final thoughts on this device. Do I recommend this phone? Did Google finally do it? Yes, yes, and yes. Google finally did it.
I can help with this.
See,
first, please unlock your phone.
I don't really want to talk to you right now, Gemini. It's wild. I love it though. I freaking love it. I have conversations with Gemini. Actually, you know what? That's gonna be a video. We're gonna have conversations with Gemini, and we're gonna see just how off the rails this thing is gonna go. I can't wait to film that video. Stay tuned for that one. But Google finally did it. They actually did it. They did it, and I'm happy to say that I do recommend this device to anyone who is due for an upgrade, or you want to come over to the dark side, that is Android, if you are on an Apple device, because you're not going to feel unfamiliar with this form factor and the way this phone performs. Android at its core, you won't find anything else in the Android ecosystem that'll equal the performance of a Pixel. The cameras, that's a different story. The video, that's a different story. It's always debatable because those things are subjective. But for overall objectivity, this phone is definitely going to be in the runnings for phone of the year. That's all I got, man. Thanks for watching this very, very long video. But again, we wanted to get down into the nitty-gritty of the Pixel 9 Pro XL for 2024 with a lot of pictures and a lot of videos, so you can make that decision on your own. Because again, most people just take pictures, videos, and phone calls. That's what a phone is for. And the occasional video game every once in a while. If you want to do that too, that G4 chip can handle this, and it don't get hot. That's a plus. I'm your boy Money Matt, man. Thanks for watching. If you liked any part of this video, or you just don't like me wearing this Deion Sanders jersey, hit me up in the comments and let me know how we doing here on the set. Well, we actually got to get back into some more sneakers, dog, because that's what the set is for. Sneakers, electronics, and toys. I'm gonna get on out of here, man. Like and subscribe, share the video, because yeah, that's a nice thing to do, right? I'm gonna get on out of here, man. I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace.